Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Sevilla, and today I'm going to be doing my expression project based on my drawings. And I usually don't express myself through my artworks, but most artists tend to express themselves through their artworks, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. Um, this video is already pre-recorded, so I'm just adding my voiceover. So sometimes I may be on topic or off topic, but we'll see how it goes. Now, for the first drawing that I'm doing are mountains, and the reason why I'm drawing mountains as my own expression is because I enjoy nature. I enjoy the mountains that we have around the valley of Arizona, and as well as I like to enjoy hiking on the mountains um, as a fun activity to do rather than just look at them or draw them. I would spend most of my time during the weekends going on top of the mountains. As of right now, during this quarantine, they got the parks closed, so I'm not able to do so. And this is a way to express that I miss going to the mountains for the most part. And I'm gonna have to wait until this whole quarantine is over. But I could also say that that's my way to show my love for nature, as I also enjoy the outdoors. Now, for the second drawing, it's also based on what I miss is baseball. And with baseball, I really wasn't a fan at first. Um, I always thought that baseball was boring, or baseball is the last resort for professionals to go to if they fail on basketball or football. But when I when a friend took me over to a baseball game once in the Diamondbacks stadium, I really felt the atmosphere of how fans enjoyed watching baseball, and that's where I got my love for baseball as well. I regret that I did not find out at first how fun baseball was. Like I said earlier, I thought it was boring, and pretty much, I guess that's the only regrets I really have about baseball, just not finding out how fun it was at first. But it's better to find out late than never. And so I spent time drawing this baseball bat and the baseball itself, only because, like I said, during this time of quarantine, baseball should have started a month ago. But for the safety of the players and the audience, they're going to have to cancel it out for this year or for a few months more, depending on how things are going. So here's my drawing. It's just a simple baseball bat and the baseball itself. I love sports, I love to play them, and hopefully all of this passes by soon. My other expression as well is I'm making a drawing. Well, right now I'm researching what I want to draw. And what I'm doing is a drawing from Tim Sale. He's famous for making this Batman artwork. And the drawing is based on this comic book called The Long Halloween. And this comic book made many inspirations, like the movie The Dark Knight. That was a heavy inspiration from The Long Halloween. And that's how I found out about the comic book at first. I watched The Dark Knight and I saw how good this movie really was, and I wanted to find out from what comic book it was, and that's when I found out it was The Long Halloween. And that's where I grew up watching comic book movies before Marvel came out with this whole Avengers um, type of what would they call it? The phases, phase one, two, and three. I think somewhere around there, that's where Iron Man came out, same time as the Dark Knight. I'm not too sure, but going back to my drawings, uh, really like to copy most. Well, I wouldn't say copy because I don't plan to copy comic book artists, but more of like, I think the word's called retroscope, if I'm correct. I'm not sure. But right now, I am copying one of Tim Sale's artworks. Not entirely though. This is just a quick, um, less than an hour drawing that I made. Um, and really, you don't see the image very well, but that's because I'm using a pencil that doesn't mark too heavy. Because I hate the idea of erasing my artworks. But continuing back to my expressions, sometimes whenever I read a comic book, I always like how sometimes instead of having the hero um, do their normal hero things, sometimes they add like, sometimes for comic books, they add like emotion to the hero. Like, for instance, I'll give an example of Spider Man. They really did a good job with the character for Spider Man. Spider Man is a teenage boy who suffers a lot of hardships in his life. He's not always perfect. He makes mistakes. I guess people like Stanley try to capture that expression within young teenagers of how they're facing this transition from becoming a kid to becoming a young adult. And a lot of people can relate to that. I relate to it myself. There's some instances where I would sometimes struggle as well, and I feel like I could get through that. And lots of comic books kind of reflect on it. Not always, but most of the time. And when I always when I always draw like images of Batman or other comic book characters, sometimes they share that same expression. Like sometimes Batman would be faced with hardships or difficult decisions, and he's always been a dark character, but sometimes there is some light within his comic books. Not all the time, but he always tries his best to, how would I say it? Batman would always try his best to do what he can. He knows that um, he's not able to do everything perfect. He's just a guy with gadgets on him, and he can only do so much sometimes. Sometimes he could do a lot, but not always. Compared to other heroes, like Superman could do much more. But Superman was based on the idea when World War II was a big thing. And the artist, or not the artist, the writers for Superman based on Superman as a godly figure for hope during desperate times of the war. But now for modern comic books, like they mostly based it on like emotion. There is action within the comic books, but most of the time it's emotion with the characters. They'll be faced with hardships, and I feel like that's what we're all experiencing with quarantine. We're all faced with transitioning from our modern lives to this quarantine life, which who knows how much longer this will last. We're hoping less than a year, but I'm sure that it's going to be an entire year. I'm hoping for the best for everybody to live through that. But like I said earlier, I do kind of show my emotions through comic books when I'm drawing comic books. Um, like I said, Batman's he faces a lot of hardships when he's fighting crime or when he's trying to resolve something, but he lives in a place where it's mostly corrupted or it's hard to maintain control, like Gotham. Um, but overall, that's basically my interpretation of my expressions through my artworks. Um, I'd spent a lot of time with drawing Batman just because I really took my time, and I try to fast forward this video, but it only gives me this much speed, so I'll try to reflect on other artworks that I've done. Mm, I guess I could say when I did my very first artwork was this this dragon, this like sea dragon that I made. Well, I didn't make it. I just saw it from the Crayola box. In the back of the boxes, they would give you ideas to draw. And when I saw the box, it had that same sea dragon, and I decided to draw the same image. And the funny part of that drawing was the box was the little image examples that they show you. The box, I mean, not the box, the picture was pretty small. So I was gonna scale it to a larger size on a piece of paper. And at first, I think I failed a couple of times, but the thing that I never did was give up on that artwork. And I kept going back at it. I think I must have wasted like 12 pieces of paper before I got the right image. Once I got it right, I showed it to my parents, and when my parents saw what I did, they really enjoyed the artwork, which I guess for my emotion or my expression through that artwork was like happiness. Happiness that I finished the way I wanted for that sea dragon. And to this day, my parents have it framed on their on one of the what do you call those photo albums. Well, they don't have it on their wall, but just on the countertop. And with that, it still reminds me to this day that I could do anything with my drawings. I never taken the time to do expression, but I could make expressions with it. Um, but overall, that's my enjoyment with the drawings. Um, like I said earlier, with this Batman drawing, I spent way too much time drawing on it. Shouldn't have taken this much time, but I guess I wanted to get the details right. Uh, a little fact about myself is that I always like to draw using graphite pencils. Never like to use colored pencils or other colored materials like markers or anything really. I guess I always like the concept of doing things all in black and white. But overall, if I had another expressions on myself besides my artwork, I would say that I guess my collection of comic books is one of them. Like it shows my expression of, I guess, my nerdy side of myself. Um, I also like to collect like technology stuff. Like I got my laptop. I got a little small VR for the phone. I got my little gaming system of my Nintendo DS, my Game Boy, my other Game Boy that I have, like the different generations of Game Boys. Um, I would also say the way I express myself is the sports that I enjoy, like baseball. I like football as well, but that's overall of my expressions. I'm almost halfway point to finishing the video. Not halfway, a quarter of a way, but this is my finished image of Batman. Like I said, I enjoy drawing this. It's a little quick sketch, but it's not too bad. That's the beauty of art. And here's my other drawings that I've done. Well, that's more of a painting. That is of a drawing of myself, and that is a spray painted image of Batman and Superman, as well as I have a clay mold of Joker here that I've done. And that's my expression.